It's hard to answer that in less than 17 paragraphs. However, there are many things. For example, if you're laying out a patient room, while we don't have strong evidence at this moment, the way it is leaning is that if you locate the hand wash sink at the entry, close to the entry of the room, as opposed to, say, behind the door, so you don't have to walk around the door to wash your hands, that makes it more apt for the healthcare professionals to use the sink and wash their hands. There are many other things. Design professionals today have to understand more about these specific pathogens and how they are carried from room to room. I've not seen a patient room design that really deals with some of these issues. The CDC protocols, and this is all in the book, these are the things that design professionals, I think, rarely go to the CDC and look up this information. But to understand what the CDC requires for different levels of protection, depending on what the organism is really fascinating, is something that design professionals now really need to understand. And the fact that these multi-drug resistant organisms like C. diff, C. difficile, or MRSA, methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus, how they are carried from room to room by contact, or VRE, vancomycin-resistant enterococci. They are carried by touch from room to room, and so you need to think about the different surfaces. For example, the chair, the high back patient chair that the patient sits in, Department of Health Services in many jurisdictions does not want a woven fabric. So even if it's a Krypton fabric, they don't want that because it is too hard to clean bodily fluids off of it. And on that high back patient chair, they want something like vinyl. Remember the old Naugahyde that we used to use? The wooden frames of chairs. I mean, manufacturers of healthcare furniture have gotten so good in the last few years at creating furniture that has amazingly great functional capabilities and looks terrific, looks residential, looks like hospitality furniture. But now when you go to the CDC and look at the germicidal agents that hospitals are required to use, these will strip the paint off a car. So just imagine after every patient, or even when the same patient's in the room every day, cleaning the wood arm of a chair or those upholstered fabrics with these highly caustic agents, they're not going to last very long. So what is the solution? I mean, is it a metal frame chair for that high back patient chair? C. difficile, for example, often causes diarrhea, which can be quite severe. So you have a lot of bodily fluids, let's say, in a surgical area. And how are you going to clean that adequately? And do you want to be the next person who comes in and sits on that chair, that next patient, when the housekeeping staff maybe have been giving 10 or 12 minutes to clean that room in between patients? Think of the things that I mean, what's surprising to me, it's a duh, once someone tells you about it, but who thought about it? Going to the bathroom, in the patient bathroom, you're touching the doorknob. Every time the nurse goes in to empty the bedpan, she's touching it. Visitors touch it. That doorknob is so contaminated. The light switches, the faucets at the sink are so contaminated. And I wonder, do the housekeeping staff really go in and clean those faucets? I mean, there's just certain things that we kind of don't think about. They're in the bathroom. The grab bars in the shower are a tremendous source of pathogen contact from one person to another. When you really read the nitty-gritty of it in that chapter in the book, I think you're going to be just shocked at the things that you never thought of, that you thought you knew, but you really didn't. And so that was really the biggest learning experience for me. And once I started getting into it, I just couldn't stop. One night I stayed up through the night, just going from one website to another to another.